Information on how to watch, attend, and participate, as well as agendas, minutes, and recordings can be found on Broomfield's website at broomfield.org/council meetings. Public comment is welcome in person or through our call-in service. Instructions for calling in are available on the council meetings webpage. Public comment will be limited to 90 minutes total per item. The first 1 through 15 participants in the queue have 3 minutes to speak. The next 16 through 25 have 2 minutes. And if time remains, the next 26 plus participants have 1 minute to speak. For our hard of hearing residents present, we have wireless headsets available in the back of the council chambers through our AV team. The City Council regular meeting is called to order. There are 10 council members in attendance and a quorum of the council is present. We begin this meeting by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Ute, and other Native peoples. Indigenous peoples have cared for this land for generations and continue to maintain deep cultural and spiritual ties to it. As the City and County of Broomfield, we recognize the responsibility to honor this legacy and the enduring presence of Native communities. May this acknowledgement inspire action that fosters greater understanding, truth, and respect for Indigenous peoples. Will everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In an effort to keep order for tonight's meeting, I ask council members to limit their comments to 5 minutes. If council members are given an opportunity to speak for a second time, they should limit their comments to 2 minutes. We'll plan on a 10-minute break at approximately 8 p.m. We'll begin with council's review and approval of this evening's agenda. Council may add or remove items from the consent agenda, or council may revise the order of business for the meeting. Does any member of the council have any comments or questions regarding this evening's agenda? Are there any objections to this agenda being approved? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Our only item under petitions and communications this evening is a proclamation honoring the life, service, and legacy of Senator Faith Winter, whose sudden passing on November 26, 2025, marked the loss of a devoted public servant whose contributions will long be remembered. I'll now read the proclamation. Whereas the City and County of Broomfield honors the life and legacy of Senator Faith Winter, a dedicated public servant whose compassion, leadership, and commitment to community profoundly shaped the lives of residents across Colorado. And whereas Senator Winter faithfully represented Broomfield and the surrounding region in the Colorado General Assembly, bringing integrity, thoughtfulness, and an unwavering devotion to the people she served. And whereas throughout her public service, Senator Winter championed policies that strengthened families, expanded opportunities for women, supported working people, advanced environmental stewardship, improved transportation, and fostered a more inclusive and equitable Colorado. And whereas her work was rooted in the belief that government should uplift communities, protect the vulnerable, and create conditions in which all people can thrive. And whereas Senator Winter's courage, collaboration, and service-minded leadership earned the respect of colleagues, community partners, and constituents alike. And whereas her passing is felt deeply in Broomfield, where her advocacy, accessibility, and steadfast commitment to public good made a lasting and meaningful impact. And whereas the City and County of Broomfield extends its profound gratitude for Senator Winter's years of service and recognizes the enduring legacy she leaves behind. Now, therefore, I, Guyleen Castriata, Mayor of the City and County of Broomfield, on behalf of the City Council and our entire community, do hereby honor the life, service, and legacy of Senator Faith Winter and express our heartfelt appreciation for extraordinary contributions to Broomfield and the state of Colorado. We'll now move to public comments. If anyone would like to speak on this, you're welcome to come up to the podium. Just state your name and neighborhood for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
All right. My name is Robin Sinclair, and I live in Willow Run. And I'm here to talk briefly about the crucial need to update Broomfield's prairie dog policy.
Oh, excuse me, this is just public comment on the proclamation. We'll
Oh.
get to that next.
Oh, I apologize.
It's okay. We'll get to that next thing.
Okay.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak on the proclamation? How about my council colleagues? Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank council for moving this forward, Councilmember Wen for asking us to move this forward. Many of us on council know and knew Senator Faith Winter. She taught me how to run for office, and she taught hundreds of other women and men how to run for office. And a part of this was just really believing in yourself. And that was core to who Senator Faith Winter was. And she really encouraged people to tell their stories, not just the stories of all the achievements that you've had, but really the hard stuff that really makes you who you are. And that's who Faith was. And I'm going to read a little bit about in an email that I had sent out about Senator Faith Winter. During her time on the state Senate, Faith took on some of the most difficult challenges Colorado has faced in the past decade. Tackling climate pollution, securing sustainable transportation funding, advancing paid family leave, and updating employment non-discrimination laws. These were not easy fights. Each was met with strong pushback from powerful interests, required years of effort, and often demanded repeated attempts. But none of that deterred Faith. She kept pushing. At the core of her work was a fierce love of her children and for yours, and a deep desire to ensure that they could grow up in a safer, cleaner, more just world. She believed in the power of policy to make life better, even when the path was steep, public, and adverse. She did it in bold ways and in bold colors. Her favorite colors were orange and blue. Colorado lost a devoted mom, friend, partner, and public servant. Her colleagues in the Senate lost a compassionate and principled partner, someone we could always trust to represent her constituents and fight for the greater good. We also lost a teacher whose voice for youth was strong. Even when people saw her at the state capitol, the youth knew her for meeting with them here locally in Broomfield. She met people where they were at and addressed issues that mattered to them. And lastly, I just wanted to thank her and her testament of all to her own loved ones, her kids, her fiance, her dad, sister, and family. We will miss you, Faith, and we thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Henkel. Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, staff and council and Mayor Pro Tem for writing a incredible proclamation for our former state senator. So I was at the memorial service last week and of course at the celebration of life, and a lot of folks were wearing orange and very shades and degrees of cool flowery outfits. And you know, like Councilmember Henkel mentioned, orange was her color. Several members on council are wearing ribbons with orange and buttons in honor of State Senator Faith Winter, just because that really showed what kind of person she is. She was a colorful, vibrant human being. And yeah, no, I echo the sentiment is that we lost a fighter, someone who was deeply involved and very, you know, strong. And so a tragedy, and, you know, my heart and prayers goes to her fiance, her children, and her family. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Wynn. Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
I had the opportunity through an assignment for council to Colorado Communities for Climate Action to work with Senator Winter on several pieces of legislation. And it was always a pleasure to do so, to see her determination against odds to pass legislation, to see how she worked with other legislators to achieve good results. And she will be missed greatly as a champion of environmental causes. So I join my other council members in expressing my condolences to former Representative Matt Gray and all her family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lim. Anyone else? Well, thank you. And let us carry forward Senator Winter's spirit of service by continuing the work she championed and honoring her legacy in all we do for our community. Moving on to council member reports. Does any member of council have any reports or updates this evening? Mayor, oh, council, wow, it's a tie. Oh, look at that. Oh, you're reporting to each other. Councilmember Twist.
All right, thank you. This morning, I was able to attend the Broomfield Workforce Board meeting and learned a lot about the incredible work that they're doing in the community and learned from some state partners as well. They mentioned during the meeting that they were holding a job fair this afternoon. So I stopped by and was surprised to see a very long line of job seekers out the door. There were today, in a 2-hour period, over 260 people seeking work, which is more than double typical, like well more. So I just want to acknowledge the great work that the workforce staff are doing and acknowledge the great need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. Over kind of the end of last week through this past weekend, I was in DC attending the Victory Institute's annual international conference. Additionally, I was able to meet with our Congresswoman's staff as well as one of our Senator Hickenlooper staff. But while at the conference, I had the pleasure of serving on a panel talking about housing and kind of some of the challenges that we, in particular, this was for, I think, aimed more at local governments, but we certainly had many state legislators in the room talking about the challenges we see and how kind of not only our own policies may be inhibiting, at least for certain communities, but also how we can have a better partnership with not only the state governments, but also the federal government.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank staff for making the holiday tree lighting ceremony another wonderful community event. That takes a lot of effort. Everyone appreciated also the contributions of North Metro Fire Department, Santa, and all the choral groups who made the festivities a great success. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you, Mayor, and also the festive items we have here tonight. I haven't been, it hasn't been this festive in a long time, so I love that. Thank you. I would like just to announce that Rabbi Yossi Rappaport has invited everyone to the community menorah lighting this Sunday, December 14th at 5 p.m. Each year, this event brings together a diverse cross-section of our community, families, seniors, children, and residents from all backgrounds to celebrate the universal messages of light, hope, and unity. As our city's leadership, your presence would be greatly meaningful, and so will yours. It is at 5 o'clock on Sunday at the Flatirons Crossing Outdoor Food Court Plaza, and we would love to have you there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be there. Any other colleagues have any updates or announcements? I just want to thank staff again too, and for letting us borrow these decorations from the tree lighting. They left them in place so we could have a little festive atmosphere for our last meeting. And we will be taking a 3-week break after tonight. So staff and council, we can all spend time with our families and do some catching up. So just wanted to put that out there. Our next meeting would be January 13th. Okay. All right, well, now we're moving to general public comment. This is the opportunity to speak on matters other than those listed on the agenda. So please, if you'd like to be heard, please come up to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hello. Oh, once again, my name is Robin Sinclair. I apologize for jumping the gun earlier. This is my first meeting in Broomfield, so.
Welcome.
Okay, so again, I'm here to talk about the need to update Broomfield's prairie dog policy, which OSTAC is also aware of is aware of as well. The current policy was adopted in 2003 and is nearly 23 years old. It's filled with outdated language and views that have since been proven inaccurate and does not reflect the evolving science, conservation efforts, and public awareness surrounding prairie dogs. A few just key issues that need to be addressed are the exception for emergency responses, in which none of the reasons given for emergency responses are actual emergencies. And it seems to have created a loophole for the unnecessary killing of prairie dogs and also gives broad interpretation to city employees without concrete guidance and without public input. And there's also no language in the policies regarding buffer zones where prairie dogs are exterminated around trails or residential areas. This seems to have created another loophole for unnecessary killing, again, without public input. In 2025 alone, Broomfield spent approximately $29,000 on exterminating prairie dogs, presumably through emergency responses or buffer zone infringements. And there needs to be a moratorium on lethal control during the breeding season, which runs March through April, written into the policies. In 2025, there were approximately 920 prairie dog burrows gassed in March alone in the city of county and Broomfield. And I have the invoices to show. There are many other aspects of the policy that need to be addressed as well, including the far-reaching expansion of designated release sites and higher penalties for permit noncompliance. And I realize that there are widely different views and attitudes towards prairie dogs. However, when the prairie dog populations decline, the entire ecosystem suffers, and healthy ecosystems are critical for a city's economy, infrastructure, and the well-being of its residents. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Sinclair.
Good evening, Lois Vanderkoy, Broomfield Heights. For you new to council, I'm prone to sharing poetry. And tonight I'm sharing a Rilke poem and process as you courageously take on the details of serving us. Your agenda tonight is full, as are the staff memos. We are also in the midst of a busy holiday season, and it's important to remember to settle into this darkest time of year when light turns a corner and days start lengthening. I invite all of you to join in if you wish. My life is not this steeply sloping hour in which you see me hurrying. Much stands behind me. I stand before it like a tree. So take a moment to be like a tree with your feet rooting into the ground, your sit bones rooting into your chair, and your spine rising tall with head resting with a slight tilt down. Take a moment to find a comfortable, upright posture. Now, let your shoulders relax with your hands in your lap or on your thighs, and close your eyes if you wish. You are safe. Breathing in, feeling air coming into your belly and chest, and breathing out, letting your body settle more fully, attuned to the quality of a tree, just being here, alive. Hear the silence. Great. More of the poem. I am only one of my many mouths, and the one that will be still the soonest. I am the rest between two notes, which are somehow always in discord because death's note wants to climb over. But in that dark interval, reconciled, they stay there trembling. And the song goes on, beautiful. Blessings on your songs.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Yep, moving on. We'll now continue with the report section of the agenda. City Manager Hoffman, do you have a report?
I do, briefly, and good evening and happy holidays to council and to the community. And to say that we're excited for a 3-week break would be an understatement. And for those of us that embrace OCD, this whole situation that's going up here right now is a lot. It's a lot going on up here.
You can blame me.
No, it's very, very festive. It's very festive. As council knows, and many of the community know, we have been working towards for the last 4 years, 3 bonds, 2 in utilities and 1 for the PD courts building. We've been interviewing and providing data, documentation, compilation of our leadership style, our financial acumen, and the bottom line, finances now and in the future. We got word last week, Moody's came back. We were anticipating positive news, and to us, positive news would have been a slight decrease, given that often communities do 1 bond in a year. And of course, Broomfield's been planning, so we're doing 3 in 1 year, which is a significant lift. And we maintained a AA rating, which is one of the highest in the state, not just for one of the bonds, but all 3. It's a testament to council. It's a testament to our team and to staff and the rigorous pursuit of financial sustainability over the last 5 years. So we are grateful. We're moving forward. Councilmember Hinkle had the insight to request what is next and how will we present this to the community. We will be sending the same email with the same substance to the enterprise. We anticipate that they will help us share this good news that we've been working hard to achieve, as well as additional information as we move forward when we are ready to go out to bond to the municipal market. There has been indication, and Councilmember Cohen had said and requested, what is that savings? So while we are only able to do a snapshot for those that have financial acumen, being able to maintain that type of rating is really substantially significant, not just now, but over the life of that loan, much like a mortgage payment, if you will. So we are happy to share that information. We'll continue to keep the community and council updated. And it's a great way to go into 2026 as the lift begins for all 3 of those projects.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Good
Thank you.
news. Attorney Rogers, do you have a report?
No, I share in Jennifer's wish for a happy holidays and really do want to applaud the staff and council. That is huge. The bond ratings are huge, big impact. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you both. Council's consideration of the consent items is next. Item 6B is a Board of Equalization item. And as a reminder, council is the Board of Equalization. So a vote by council is also a vote of the BOE. The clerk will read all of the consent items by title, and there'll be 1 opportunity for public comments and council questions. Will the clerk please read agenda items 6A through 6G by title?
6A, proposed resolution number 2025-166, authorizing and approving the 3rd amendment to the City and County of Broomfield budget for the year 2025. 6B, proposed resolution number 2025-151-BOE, approving mutual agreements on abatements over $10,000. 6C, proposed resolution number 2025-161, approving an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County for shared snow removal operations at the 112th West Storage Facility. 6D, proposed resolution number 2025-168, approving the renaming of County Road 7 to Promenade Street. 6E, proposed resolution number 2025-167, approving a construction maintenance and operations agreement concerning a joint use monument sign at Flatiron Crossing. 6F, proposed resolution number 2025-54, authorizing and approving the purchase of water meters and electronic reading systems from Badger Meters, Inc. 6G, proposed resolution number 2025-162, approving an intergovernment agreement with North Metro Fire Rescue District for the construction of utilities at the new North Metro Fire Rescue District Fire Station number 68.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with public comments on the consent agenda. If any residents are using the call-in service, they should indicate their desire to speak by pressing *9 to raise their hand. We'll start with in-person comments if anyone has any comments on these items. Does any member of council have any comments or questions on these agenda items? Mayor Pro Tem, oh, she beat you. Councilmember Henkel.
I beat Mayor Pro Tem Lim. That never happens. I just wanted to thank our North Metro Fire Department for being here tonight. And then also, we're excited about the new Station 68. Would love to just know a little bit more about the IGA that's in lieu of the letter of credit. Do we have information about that and why that's in lieu of the letter of credit? And I just, as you're walking up there, I'll explain. I did a ride along a few weeks ago, and it was very exciting to see all the different stations that are across Broomfield, and everyone specializes in different areas. It was very eye-opening, and I'm hoping we can do some more tours with you all.
Well, thank you for saying that. Good evening, everybody. Matt Horan, Deputy Chief of Support Services for North Metro Fire. First of all, the IGA agreement is just a three-party agreement between North Metro, City and County of Broomfield, and Jefferson County. And it's for a small section to the west of our property where the connection of the main water main the water is sourced by Broomfield, makes way into the property and into a small easement that is owned by Jefferson County, and then the water easement that goes onto our property. So it must move from our board of directors, who have already signed off on the IGA, to Broomfield City and County to be approved by you all tonight, hopefully. And then next week move to Jefferson County. So the letter of credit, it's our understanding with working with Broomfield city officials that we completed a letter of credit for Station 6-1, but that was unnecessary previously. And so it ends up holding funds from North Metro for a long period of time. And that letter of credit's designed to make sure that the infrastructure is completed in the appropriate fashion. It was deemed unnecessary for North Metro to have to do that for Station 68.
Excited about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
I had a question about 6B. On 6B, the abatement for Spinnaker Way. So it was a significant abatement. So I did read the statement in the protest. The statement in the protest said, there is an abundance of competitive, newly constructed and proposed industrial space in the market area in direct competition with the property. An oversupply in the marketplace puts downward pressure on rental rates and sale prices. So knowing that we have approved a lot of industrial flex space, I'm just interested to see if staff has any comment, if this will be a trend that continues, that we will need to allow for the possibility that we're going to have other challenges going forward on these kind of properties.
Councilmember Lim, appreciate that question. And Mr. Yamashita is on a well-earned vacation, so you're going to have the B team answer that question. I think it's not, again, it kind of comes back to that crystal ball of to what level do we expect additional appeals and abatements. We think that number will increase. To what degree, we don't know. To what degree from the monetary amounts, we don't know. But we do anticipate that it will increase simply based on the volatility of the assessed valuations of the market rate, of the turn on those commercial properties in particular, and that category. So we'll see, it's a more complex question because it's not an overall. So some we anticipate a higher level of abatements and a high level of appeals depending upon the category. So we'll be tracking that. If we identify a trend, which we have not yet, we'll certainly come back to council and provide an update and or any potential calculations, if you will, at that point. But right now, we deem this one to be a one-off.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. And then I just wanted to thank staff. I had a previous question on 6E about the Flatiron Crossing sign, and that was adequately answered, that we won't have excessive flashing or illuminations across that sign. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, is there a motion by council that consent items 6A through 6G be approved? Councilmember Henkel,
So moved.
is there a second? Councilmember Nguyen,
I second this motion.
thank you. Is there any discussion? Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote, and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously, 10-0. Our first item under action items this evening is the public hearing and council's consideration of a resolution relating to a site development plan amendment for a new flex industrial development on a site located at 10355 West 120th Avenue. I'll now declare the public hearing open. We'll follow the city's standard public hearing procedures. First, staff will present a summary of the proposal. Next, we'll have the applicant's presentation. Then we'll ask for public comments and final comments from the applicant, and finally questions and from city council members. Following council questions, I'll close the hearing. Following the hearing will be council's discussion, consideration, and vote on the application based on the applicable criteria stated in the code. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, Mayor. And Ms. Merwin is going to make her way to the podium for new council and some of the community that perhaps doesn't know what's happening with the mass exodus. Anytime that we have a council meeting, even if the agenda item is on consent, we have the correlative department heads here. Should council have any additional questions and or public comment generate any additional questions? So that's the mass exodus is, since it's been approved now, those individual department heads can go home to their families. Ms. Merwin, Deputy Director of Community Development, will introduce this item and walk us through it. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Manager Hoffman. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. The project before you this evening is for a site development plan for a proposed flex industrial warehouse facility located at 10355 West 120th Avenue. This is Lot 3 of the Knudsen subdivision filing number 1. Can we go to the next slide, please? To the west of the project area are lots 1 and 2 of the Knudsen subdivision. These lots are currently developed and occupied by light industrial uses. To the north are 2 Colorado Department of Agricultural facilities, office and research laboratory located within the Interlochen development. And to the south of the project area is the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport, which is located within Jefferson County. To the east is an approximately 10-acre vacant parcel owned by Jefferson County Airport Authority located between the project area and Lincoln South Point office campus. The subject property is zoned PUD and is governed by the Knudsen subdivision filing number 1 PUD plan. The developer is proposing to construct a flex industrial warehouse facility, which is listed as a permitted use for all lots within the subject Knudsen PUD plan. Next slide, please. The applicant is proposing to construct the new building at 10355 West 120th Avenue. The building will be 36 feet tall and approximately 122,000 square feet with loading docks on the east and west elevations Anticipated uses for the building include light industrial, office, and warehousing uses. There are 2 ingress egress points onto West 120th Avenue and no direct access onto State Highway 128, or otherwise known as Interlochen Loop, due to the steep grade transition in that area. The applicant is requesting to maintain a prior approved variance, which we will also be referring to in the future as deviations, but we stayed with the variance term because this was previously approved on this plan as a variance, but we are shifting terminology going forward, you'll note in future meetings and memos. The variance seeks approval for a drive and parking area, including the truck court, which collectively total 40% of the site, as opposed to 35% maximum, which is limited by the PUD plan. So the variance was previously requested and approved with the UPS Broomfield SDP that was approved in January 22, but was never constructed. The proposed layout includes 25% of the site allocated to private open area, such as landscaping and walkways, which is consistent with the PUD plan. Next slide. The general site plan, which details parking and pedestrian access within the site, includes a total of 223 parking spaces to serve the new development. The subject site is not located within one of Broomfield's parking reduction areas and does comply with the 125% maximum parking established by Broomfield Municipal Code. Setbacks for the subject site are established by the PUD, and the site plan complies with those required setbacks. The development includes sidewalks circulating the site, including connections to the existing 8-foot wide sidewalk along 120th Avenue. As part of this development, the applicant will also extend the 8-foot wide pedestrian path along the northern property line adjacent to Interlochen Loop. But again, there won't be access provided from the site to that sidewalk due to the grade change. Next slide. This shows the architecture. I think I missed a slide, so next slide, please. The site, an improvement agreement is required to be signed by the applicant, which outlines the public improvement requirements, and this will ultimately be eligible for approval by the city manager. Staff has not identified any key issues for this proposal, and the LURC hearing was held on October 27th of this year, and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the project. Next slide. The applicant conducted the required neighborhood meeting in March of 2025. No members of the public attended, and there were no comments submitted during the online concept review, which ended in mid-May. The required public notices have been met for this property in this hearing. Next slide, please. This slide highlights key standards for review for this application for your information. And next slide. Oh, this concludes my report, and the proposed resolution, if approved, would approve the site development plan for this property. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms.
I
Merwin.
don't believe the applicant has a presentation tonight.
All right, well, we'll move forward then. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to be heard on this item, please make your way to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, Bill Crothers, Northmore, Mayor Pro Tem, staff. Only have 2 questions on this. Number 1, did you say there was only 223 parking spots available for this whole complex? Is that what?
Yes.
Not sure where everybody's going to park. The second thing is, and they do know that there is an airport close to them, so we won't have a problem with the noise. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council and staff. My name is Jesse Upgate from Country Estates. I may have missed it, but I'm not entirely certain what's supposed to be kept in this warehouse. I don't see any particular, as a pilot flying out of Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport, I don't see any particular problems with its placement. But if it's supposed to be flammable, that might not be ideal. I don't see any particular problems with it though. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll find out. We probably don't know. Anyone else want to be heard? All right, we'll go to council questions next. This is the time to ask questions, the time to state positions for or against, or positions for or against is later. So do any of my colleagues have any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
Could we please follow up on Mr. Applegate's question? I think there would be no restrictions necessarily based on this property as far as what's kind of operations are in these individual businesses, but I'm not sure. I'd like for someone to answer his question.
Good evening. My name is Alex Bradshaw, Senior Planner, Planning Division. So the building that's being proposed on this site is a spec build, so there is not an end tenant that has been envisioned. It is the zoning for the property does permit a variety of business and light industrial uses. That includes, but not limited to, offices, research facilities, light manufacturing, medical offices, and clinics, as well as laboratories and retail sales. But in conversations with the applicant, the light industrial is the type of end user that would be likely expected.
Do we know if there are any other restrictions at any level that would govern what kind of operations go in proximity to the airport? I think it's what he's raising.
Not that staff is aware of, no. The limitations are within the PUD plan that governs the uses on this site.
Okay. Staff, there's other light industrial complexes in that area? Has this question come up before?
Yes, there are other warehousing facilities in the area. And I wanted to go back to the airport question, the airport topic. The property is in the airport influence area, not the critical zone. And so that's important to note. There's a distinction. This kind of use would be acceptable in the influence area, and in fact is kind of the most desirable use relative to daycares or schools or other highly populated facilities that are, I'll call sensitive receptors. So this is pretty good use here, given the proximity to the airport.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you, Mayor. I had those same questions too. I was just wondering what types of businesses were going to be there. The only question that I have left was, this is a no-brainer project, so I'll definitely, be voting for this. But I wanted to know and understand if there's any water and sewer or stormwater changes with this change of use, or do we anticipate any of that?
Hi, Matt Adams with Proof Civil. We're the civil engineer on the project. Could you clarify what you mean by changes?
Yeah, so the change in use, it was going to be a UPS building, right? And now we're changing it. Are we going to expect any sort of changes in the water, sewer, or stormwater?
No, so we will, for stormwater, going to meet the standards for on-site water quality and detention and release rates. For water usage, we'll have a loop through the site that draws water from the main in 120th. And for sanitary, it'll be a standard sanitary sewer service that goes north to Interlochen Loop.
Okay, so nothing really changes between the change in use. Okay. Thank you. That's the only question I have.
All right, thank you very much. And Councilmember Twist.
Thank you. It was mentioned in the presentation that no one came to the neighborhood engagement meeting. I'm assuming no one lives within 1,000 feet due to the proximity to the airport. So who would have been invited to the meeting? Is it people from the businesses there? So.
Thank you, Councilmember, for your question. Any property owner within 1,000 feet of the property would have been notified, and so that could include businesses or residents. I don't know offhand if there are residents within 1,000 feet. I don't have that mailing list handy. I don't know if the applicant recalls, because they're the ones that would have literally mailed out the notice. We provide the mailing list, and they handle the the mailing of that notice, but any property owners within 1,000 feet would have been invited to attend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues? All right, there being no further questions, the public hearing is closed. Next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-165. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7A, proposed resolution number 2025-165, approving the Knudsen subdivision filing number 1, Lot 3, Air Park 36, Site Development Plan Amendment.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Henkel.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Delgadillo.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, then council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote. And that passes unanimously, 10-0. Thank you very much. Next, under action items this evening is a proposed resolution related to the delegation of purchasing authority for sewer and stormwater rehabilitation. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
This is a perfect segue from Councilmember Hinkle's question about water and sewer. It's also a great example of those bold choices that council has made over the last few years that we even have this topic on the agenda. And for that, we are grateful. Equally grateful for Mr. Rutt and Mr. Ruger making their way down to the podium. Mr. Rutt, walk us through this item, if you would, please.
Well, good evening. It's new council tonight, so welcome. Appreciate having you, Mayor Pro Tem, our new Mayor Pro Tem, city managers, Ken Rutt, Director of Water Utilities. And it's my pleasure to come before you this evening and talk about our sewer and stormwater rehabilitation projects for 2026. Next slide, please. Get my notes. So one of the things that we want to provide a little bit additional background on differences between sewer lines and stormwater lines. So it depends on where you come from and what part of the country you came from, particularly if you came from the eastern coast or the Northeast or the upper Midwest, you may be familiar more with the terminology of combined sewers. And that's where storm and sewer are transported under one treatment pipe, and it goes to a wastewater treatment facility. In the West and the southern part of the United States, or the newer areas of the eastern part of the United States, we have separate systems. We have a separate sanitary sewer system and a separate stormwater system. And so what is the main difference? And it basically is, you got to look at it, is stormwater collects anything that's rainwater, snow, melt, or those type of things. That runs off, and then that is not treated, and that is directly discharged to our local waterways. On the other hand, sewer systems, those are the water that is carried out from our homes, our businesses, through dishwashing, laundry, showers, toilets, those type of things. And that is transported to wastewater treatment facilities where we treat and remove all of the pollutants before and under a NPDES, or National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, we have to meet certain water quality standards before it's removed. So sometimes it's important to understand what are the differences and why are these two separate infrastructures. Next slide. So on this one, we're demonstrating on the sanitary sewer assets, just a little brief overview of our infrastructure that we maintain in the city and county of Broomfield. We have about 326 miles of sanitary sewer collection mains, and they vary in diameter from 6 inches to 48 inches. We also have sewer manholes located throughout the system, which provides access into the sewer system for us to maintain, to inspect, and those type of things. And they are roughly 150 to 200 feet apart. 400 feet apart depending on where they're at. And we maintain 8,408 of those manholes located throughout the sewer system. Those manholes will provide us access and are essential for our maintenance. And that's how we get into the manhole, into the sewer system to do our inspections. And you can see on the bottom here, we have a few photographs of what one of the sewer lines looks like prior to where we did some rehab to the pipeline. And then the second photo here shows what it looks like after we've rehabbed it. And then the same thing on the manhole. There's two different photographs. We have one before and then what it would look like after we treat it. The reason we use the pink coating is it acts as a almost like a mirror or a light reflector. So when you open the manhole, that coloring allows the light to intensify so we can see down into the manhole. Because some of these sewer lines are over 20 feet deep. And so that provides additional visual aid for us. Next slide, please. Same thing now on the stormwater side, we maintain 174 miles of stormwater that is buried underground because part of our stormwater system is above ground. Additional, we have stormwater inlet boxes where you see the water drains into it along the streetways. We maintain 3,553 of those stormwater inlets. And then we have the stormwater manholes of 2,732 of these manholes. And then we have the above ground, we have 15 miles of surface drainage and 511 of the basins and stormwater ponds, of which the City and County of Broomfield owns 133 of those. We have an agreement with CDOT to maintain 19 others, and the remaining are private. Next slide. In this slide, since most people aren't familiar with what are you talking about when you TV a sewer line or a stormwater line, right? So Broomfield uses some of the more advanced technology in close circuit TV inspections. And so what we show here in this picture is what one of those robot machines looks like that we put into the sanitary or the stormwater sewer, and it's powered and it goes through the sewer lines. The middle picture shows you the truck and the line that goes down. And so we do about 25% of our system every year. And so every 4 years, we have a complete 100% visual inspection of all of our underground sewer pipe. And then on the stormwater side, we do 20% each year. And so every 5-year cycle, we have 100% inspected. Next slide, please. So the treatment technology for our rehab that we have selected, and we've been using for one of the first to be using this technology. We've been using it about 20 years, roughly. And so basically what the advantage is you don't have to go up there and you don't have to tear up the streets. You don't have to dig the holes. You don't have to interrupt the traffic flow, those type of things. And so there's no excavation. There's reduced property damage, and it also reduces our costs. It's also faster to repair because you're not digging all the way through everything. And so the cost advantage is the difference between dig and replace is about $800 per foot, per linear foot. The cost for our UV CIPP average is about $180 per foot. So a significant cost savings as well as inconvenience for our residents. So the process consists of, we do the inspection, we identify the pipe condition, which then as we get ready to begin, particularly on the sewer side, we have to set up a bypass because the sewer doesn't stop. So we have to put in, like a dam structure, bypass it, pump it around the area we're working on. We remove and clean the pipe, remove all the debris and the scaling, and then they're able to go in and put this system in. And so they put the resin in, they inflate it. It is cured. Once it's inflated, then they go in there with a UV lighting, and that cures the material onto the piping. And then once it's cooled, we can restore the flow. Next slide, please. Did we get the next one? Or is it stuck? Okay, so we have a short video of what this looks like. So this is what it's before. As the robot's going through there, you can see the grease build up on the pipelines and those type of things. And then after it's been cleaned and we retreat it, that's what it looks like. So we can see it immediately, the improvements of how the rehab has improved the condition of this infrastructure. Next slide. So what of our projects are at this year? We have in section 1, that is the Broomfield Industrial Park area. We're rehabbing about almost 18,000 feet, 17,909 of clay and concrete pipe. And that why that's important is in these areas, there's a lot of hydrogen sulfide that builds up as naturally organic material decays. It creates hydrogen sulfide, and that attacks the concrete and the clay, and that's what creates some of the failures and damage. And so we're replacing that in the industrial park area. We're also doing about 3,000 linear feet in the Broomfield Garden Center area. Broomfield Heights is shown in number 3, and we are doing about 4,000 feet of corrugated metal and concrete stormwater pipe. So the first 2 were sewer, the third one is stormwater, and the fourth one is also stormwater in Broomfield Heights number 1. We're doing another 2,000 feet of stormwater pipe. So next slide. And all that's possible, particularly on the stormwater side, through the implementation of the stormwater fee. And that is one of the critical funding sources to help allow us to begin making these rehabs. Because everything, was built from the 60s on up. These pipes have anywhere between 30 to 50-year life on some of these. And so they're getting to the end of their year of life expectancy. And that stormwater fee is critical for these projects. So going forward with the proposal on the contract agreement for both the sewer and the stormwater line is one of the things that is really competitive for us to use is our competitive solicitation, where we can piggyback on with other cities. And in this case, the city of Westminster, who did the original competitive solicitation, and several cities have joined on that, and that helps us get better pricing by us joining together. And so we have joined with the city of Westminster. And on our contract, the second bullet shows that we're going to be using CNL Water Solutions, which happens to be the same company we've been using for many years. They continue to be the low bid on this project. And that total contract amount is $5,552,114. And that was part of the 2026 budget approval. If the agreement is approved, construction will begin in about January, and depending on our contractor's availability, as we are coordinating with other cities around us for the same firm there, and then it all should be completed by the fall of 2026. Next slide. Part of our public notice process, we do issue postcard notifications. Similar to other projects within the city, 2 weeks prior to construction. The postcards are sent to residents within 1,000 feet of the project area. We also set up variable message boards 1 week prior, letting the community know that construction activities will be happening in that area. We also, I didn't have it on the slide, but we also leave door hangers if a resident is not home. We also have door hangers that the contractor leaves. And if the project goes longer than expected, the contractor follows up and goes door to door and provides updates. We also have information on our webpage under the Broomfield Current CIP project page. And then all traffic control plans are also submitted to our Broomfield traffic engineer for approval. And then we go out and we will use our flaggers and detour signs as necessary. Next slide. That ends our presentation. So if council has any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rutt. Love the compelling video. We'll now proceed with public comments. If any residents are using the call-in service, do we have anybody online? All right, next is people in person. If anyone would like to comment on this item? We are good? Okay, how about council? Council, have any questions or comments? We'll go with Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor, and Mr. Rutt, thank you for the presentation. First, my question is, being a former viewer of a show called Dirty Jobs, we saw a lot of people who go in sewers. What is the benefit of having a robot going through those tunnels?
As I mentioned earlier, there's generally a lot of hydrogen sulfide gas, and then which also displaces oxygen. So when you put people inside of there, you have obviously a lack of oxygen, and it can result in death. where you see a lot of that. We haven't seen much lately in Colorado, but there was a similar thing at a feedlot up in Weld County, just outside of Kingsburg, where those 4 people died. Similar type of situation where H2S had filled up the area, the confined space they were working in, and they all died. And so there is a lot of health issues and confined space entry issues and safety issues.
I actually saw the robot itself when during Broomfield Days. Some members of the team were there, and I was able to see it. It's small. You don't expect it to be like a big thing, but those tunnels and sewers are very small themselves. Seeing the after and before, and of course it's right there. These are 40-year-old pipes, and one question that has been brought by many residents is, what is the benefit of having new pipes and why it's can you tell us on council and to the public why it's good that we're doing this right now?
Okay, so on the sanitary sewer side, there are regulatory requirements that we are required to maintain the system. We're required to inspect 25% annually. We're required to maintain it, properly operate and maintain it under our permit. Side effects of not maintaining it is you can have backups into people's basements. You can have sewer backing up significant enough, it can come out manholes onto people's properties into the street. Which is called a sanitary sewer overflow, and that's also a permit violation. And so there are those health and safety issues related with not performing those. If the pipe breaks underneath the ground and it doesn't come to the surface, it can contaminate drinking water. You can also contaminate because your lines are based on different levels. So as you deal, you have your water line and then you have your sewer lines below the water. But that sewer can float up towards the water line. So if you have breaks in your water line, it can siphon that sewer into your drinking water system also.
Mr. Rutt, that was well explained. I really appreciate that. And my last question is, with the cooperative agreement with the City of Westminster, can you just go over, do we have connecting pipes with the City of Westminster or other municipalities in the area? Or is this more like, the same contractor and they're working out next door and, it makes sense that they could?
Yeah, on the sewer and the stormwater side, we do not have connecting units. And so using the competitive bid, it provides us opportunity to jointly, volume gives you a little better pricing.
Yeah.
So it allows us to get a better volume-based pricing by joining together and getting a competitive bid that way.
Okay, no, Mr. Rutt, excellent presentation. I appreciate the pictures. It definitely shows that the work is, very important. I appreciate your presentation time. Those are my questions, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hinkle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rutt, for your presentation, and really appreciate the efforts that are going into all of this because we don't want something to break, right?
For sure.
So the only question I really have, I guess there's sort of 2 questions. How are these locations prioritized? Are there different, failure risks, age, things like that? And the second one is, in the whole scheme of things, what do you think, and maybe you don't have to be exact, but just sort of the percentage of infrastructure that this annual program actually addresses in Broomfield?
Let's see if I can remember all those questions.
Yeah, the first question is just how are the locations prioritized?
So the locations are selected. We have a grading system. It's so there's several points that we look at is condition assessment. And so we take a look and we go through there, we look for cracks, we look for breaks, we look for any displacement, because sometimes our soils move. Is there displacement in the pipeline? Is there indentations from the soil wasn't compacted properly, and on, especially on metal corrugated, it can get compressed a little bit? Is there any of those kind of failure indicators? So we look for those failure indicators, and there's a grading system for each one of those. And then as they go through there, it's a computerized system, and it puts all the stuff in, and when we get our grading system out each year for every piece that we go through. We have a 30-year replacement plan on both the storm and the sewer program. And that was part of our work along with AECom over the last couple of years, is we put together these plans, 30-year plans, the assessment, grading periods, and that was all part of those programs that we worked with AECom on.
Great. And then what a percentage is this addressing, do you think?
I don't remember. Yeah, it's about less than 1% for the 2026 program. I think the 30-year program addresses 18%. Over 30 years, it'll address 18% of the system.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mhm.
All right, next is Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
I just had two quick questions. And I know the mayor didn't think the video was riveting, but it made me think of Shawshank Redemption. And I'm sure Andy would have appreciated your work before he climbed in there. Two quick questions. One, the 4-year and the 5-year inspection cycle, is that standard best practice, or what, how do we rate?
As far as the sewer side, it is best practices, and so is the stormwater. They're both best practices as recommended through the Water Environment Federation, who is our national organization. It also meets our permit requirements established by the state of Colorado and EPA.
So we're required to do this on that cycle?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm curious, as to mostly toward the sewer work, is there any disruption to residents for those in that area?
So during the time they do the lining, those folks that are in the section where the lining is, they'll be disrupted for that day as they're putting in there, because what we'll do is we'll ask them not to use water, not to flush, because they'll put the lining through there. Once the lining is cured, we go back through there and we recore each one of the sewer taps. And so we do ask for that period of time, which usually takes about a day, no more than a day, because we do small sections at a time. So we don't have more than more than 8 hours of.
So a resident could expect 1 to 2 days, maybe?
1 day.
One
I
day
wouldn't do
disruption
more
in
than
that,
that,
for
yeah.
those in that immediate area?
Yep.
Okay. Last thing I was going to note on your stormwater assets slide, I recognize the picture on the right, which I think is my neighborhood off of trails that they were working on. There's also often coyotes in that culvert, so I don't know what effect they have, but hopefully not too much.
On the stormwater.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Rutt, for the presentation. I think it's a very compelling program, and I'm excited to talk to folks in our community about the excellent uses of our stormwater fees, because I think people don't really understand where that's going. So one of my questions is about the liner material.
Mhm.
So, I know with our wastewater and our water treatment facility, we're filtering for PFAS. Like, I see these bright colors and I just think, what is in that? Like, are we putting things into our water as it's going through the pipe only to have to take it out when it gets to the treatment facility? Or how does that work?
They are, this material that we are using is PFAS free. So it does not contain any PFAS, and it does not leach. This is one of the newer materials, so it's not leaching. There was some earlier materials back in the early 90s that did leach some of the chemicals, but this material is certified and doesn't leach.
Thank you for that information. I guess also kind of a follow-up to Todd's question about how residents are going to be impacted by this. We are setting up bypass. So even if they're not supposed to be they're trying to minimize water on that 1 day or 2 days, but it's not like cut off from their house.
The bypass is for the residents on either side, but the folks that are that would discharge into the section that's being relined, that does impact them for that day. so they wouldn't be able to flush or any drain, any water going down the drain during that day.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
Okay, thank you. That just makes me wonder, okay, so they can't flush or put any water down the drain, but what if they do? Well, just curious what happens. I'm just-
It'll start backing up. There's nowhere for it to go.
So it's in their best interest to make sure they're abiding. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because it seals that connection. And so any water will be coming against a closed valve. It'd be running up against that and would just back up in their service line.
So it would, it would specifically impact the house that was the violation?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
interesting. Okay.
Councilmember Anderson, that's made clear on the notice. So it's not just, hey, we're coming, please don't use the water. It's a little more, there's clarity with the language in there about what happens if.
Okay, that wasn't even something I was thinking about until Councilmember Brown noted that. Okay, so the question I had was, I know we went through all of this during the AECOM study, and I know you have a really good handle on this, but the numbers still don't seem to add up. So if we're covering, you just mentioned 18% over 30 years. And this, according to the memo, this liner is good for 50 years. So in 50 years, we'll be addressing these same pipelines. Plus then we have everything else, like 18% over 30 years doesn't add up unless what is the anticipated life of some of the newer pipes? Do we expect those to last 100 years or?
So some of the PVC pipes that's being installed now, they are typically between 75 and 100 years on the PVC piping. And so what we're looking at, particularly on the water side, roughly about water and sewer, roughly somewhere between 15 to 18% of our system is the older type material. And the rest of it, since about the 1990s, late 1980s, we started putting in PVC line. So it's most of the pipeline that was installed from 1960 until roughly about 1990.
Okay, so we don't anticipate the same, but at some point in time in 50 or 70, well, within 75 years from now, we're anticipating having to go and do liners on some of the PVC pipe, or how do you rehabilitate?
It's possible that we would have to do that on the PVC lines in the future years.
Okay.
It all kind of depends on a lot of factors.
And yeah, I know we're not there yet, so just
Yep.
curious. Okay, so, but the 18% was more based on the older.
The older material, the clay, the concrete, and particularly sewer lines, a lot of those were concrete. And then now we're moving to more sustainable material.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues? All right, then next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-127. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, proposed resolution number 2025-127, delegating authority to the city and county manager to approve purchase orders with Instaform Technologies LLC, doing business as CNL Water Solutions for utility pipe infrastructure rehabilitation services.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Henkel.
So moved.
Is there a second? Councilmember Nguyen.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? And council, please cast your vote electronically. All members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed. That passes unanimously 10-0. Thank you both very much and the entire team. Next, under action items is council's consideration. Oh, goodness. Hold on. I've got my. Next, under action items is council's consideration on first reading of a proposed ordinance to update the landscape code relating to turf and other related revisions. Staff will now provide a presentation for this item.
Whilst we are talking about water, as Ms. Foltz makes her way up, we're going to talk about turf. Ms. Foltz, please introduce us to this item.
Hi, I'm Kate Bowles. I'm the landscape architect here for Broomfield. So good evening to Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. If I could go to the next slide, please. So this is just a pretty minor update to our already existing landscape code. The purpose is to align our definitions and standards with new state legislation on water conservation in relation to outdoor watering. As I said, the impact is fairly minimal. We already have a pretty robust landscape code that does address a lot of this. Next slide, please. So as I was saying, our code is currently more restrictive than the state. Our current landscape code limits turf area to 30% of the available landscape area on site. And really what we're trying to do is align the terminology to be consistent with the legislature. Again, this will not impact single family homes. This is in relation to 3 bills that have been introduced. If you could go to the next slide, please. And these are the 3 bills that have been introduced. First is State Bill 23-178, Waterwise Landscaping and HOAs. And this removed barriers for waterwise landscaping for homeowners and HOA communities. State Bill 24-005, prohibiting landscaping practices for water conservation. This is the one that we are currently addressing for banning non-functional turf in new commercial, industrial, and public properties. House Bill 25-1113 is limiting turf in new residential development, and this extends the non-functional turf restrictions to include properties with more than 12 dwelling units. While these last 2 bills do restrict the use of Kentucky bluegrass in non-functional areas, alternative turf and seed mixes are allowed. So as these bills have been in the works for several years, the industry has been working on alternative sod options that require significantly less water than Kentucky bluegrass does. Native seed is also another turf alternative for these non-functional areas. These upcoming changes have been brought to the attention of developers and designers during early project meetings for projects that will be continuing into 2026. And we have not received any concerns or any feedback about it. Next slide, please. So what is proposed is adding these 4 definitions to make it be a bit more consistent with state legislation, which would be the functional turf. So turf in a recreational area. Really simply, that would mean a playground, a sports field, picnics, parks. So anywhere that is used in a recreation component in some manner. Non-functional turf includes turf that you would typically see in like a right-of-way, a parking lot or median. I will note that this does not include non-irrigated turf used for water quality treatment. Invasive plant species, so non-native plants that have no natural competitors and cause harmful effects on the state's environment or economy. And then transportation corridor, which is a transportation system including all modes and facilities within a described geographical area having length and width. Next slide, please. I'm also asking to propose 2 additional definitions that go in, because as I've stated earlier, native seed is an alternative ground cover for areas that would fall under the non-functional, the medians, right-of-ways. And to help differentiate between native seed as a turf alternative versus native seed as for a native area. So one would be the native seed mix as turf alternative, which would be those seed mixes that can take a mix for lawns, and they can take some foot traffic and things along those lines. They're mowed regularly. They're meant to look as, a manicured turf area. And then native seed for native areas, which would be much more of that mix for open space and habitat zones, including some of the taller grasses and some wildflowers to get more of a diverse kind of mix in through there. So next slide, please. The other one that is updated slightly is for artificial turf. We do currently restrict artificial turf within some areas, so it will still be allowed for the athletic sports fields. You can have it in the backyard of a single family house, and then for dog parks, especially to use the artificial turf that is specifically designed for dog parks. It won't be, the one change will be that it won't be allowed to use for like multifamily developments unless it is for a dog park or a play area. and then mixed use developments, and you cannot have it in street medians, right of way, or other non-functional turf areas. Next slide, please. So if this is approved on first reading, it'll get published in full. Second reading will be January 13th. And if it is then formally approved, I would like it to have an effective date of January 31st of next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please come on up to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, Bill Crothers again, Northmore, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I just have a quick question. I noticed on Nextdoor a few weeks ago, there was a survey about the turf. You know, do we want to use turf or anything? Was that from you guys, or is that just somebody throws it out there on Nextdoor? Because, it had quite a bit of, there was quite a bit of controversy on it. And I'm just wondering if you guys, are you guys just testing out how we want to do things? Or would you say this is a city, survey, if that was the case?
Mayor, may I?
Absolutely. Manager Hoffman.
Mr. Crothers, we appreciate the question. We don't utilize Nextdoor
Okay,
for outreach, engagement, or testing the waters.
okay, good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, then the questions from council are next. Members should limit themselves to questions during this portion, and the time to introduce amendments and state positions for or against this item is later during discussion. Are there any questions from council? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you for the presentation. I just have two questions. So one kind of along the topic of public engagement. It looks like on the Broomfield Voice page that it talks about engaging with the project, and then it doesn't have anything like a module on the project page to interact with. I'm just curious if there was something and it was taken down. Like,
There should have been a section on there for public comment.
okay,
That's-
we should make sure that people can
Mhm.
give feedback on this. Yeah, I need to check out Nextdoor apparently.
Question button, no?
Let's see here. I forgot what my second question is, so I think that does it for now. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to you, Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. And Ms. Falls, I really appreciate your presentation. My father's a landscaper, so he does a lot of landscaping. Right now, we're seeing a movement of wildlife that is native to Colorado. And obviously, as you mentioned in your presentation, the state is pushing hard on unsustainable grasses and fields. And I guess my question is, what are we doing for Broomfield to make sure that we're not too reliant on, I guess, turf or grasses that is not sustainable? It just absorbs so much water.
Especially within our Parks Department,
Yeah.
we don't typically push for too much Kentucky bluegrass unless it is for like around a park or for one of our multi-use playing fields. We do actually have a couple test sections of, I believe it's the Tahoma 31, which is one of the hybridized sod alternatives that is out there that is an approved variety to use less water. So we also, for a lot of our city properties, various native seed mixes are used as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your presentation and for the answer. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So sorry for the second part of my question. I'm really curious, since you were talking about wanting to have an effective date of January 31st of next year. Are you aware of any projects right now that Broomfield is going to be pursuing where we would see this go into effect? Do you have, in terms of the parks or open spaces around here, or medians or anything like that?
We have already kind of been moving in this direction already. This is something that's been in the works for a while. So in terms of our own projects, and then also for any private development that's been coming in, this has probably been in discussion since early this year, that we're looking to reduce the non-functional areas. And if you do wish to still have it be as a turf grass area, to explore the various alternatives that are available.
Great, thank you. I was mostly asking that question as well because I know that those native seed mixes can be very expensive in terms of the comparisons.
They can, and there's a couple different varieties that are out there. So, you know, especially within the private development, it's kind of up to their choice as to what to use. On a lot of the city projects, it is a little bit more of a low grow native seed mix that is used. And then one thing that I have seen, especially within the industry, is the two sod types that require significantly less water are starting to match in price with Kentucky bluegrass.
Excellent. Thank you for the information.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2291. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7C, ordinance number 2291 to update the Landscape Code, Chapter 17-70, relating to turf and other related revisions.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on first reading and order published in full? Councilmember Henkel.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Brown.
I second this.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Right, council, seeing no further discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2291. Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have voted and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 10-0. Thank you very much. Next, under action items is council's consideration on first reading of a proposed ordinance approving a business investment agreement with GLC Health Ventures LLC. Staff will now provide the presentation for this item.
Thank you, Mayor. And as Mr. Schreier makes his way down to the podium, it's a quick presentation and one for a preface. This agreement is council and the community is probably well-versed hearing incentive versus investment. And this project is an investment, not just from a dollar perspective, but what we've learned from the North Area agreements, and I'm specifically looking at Mr. Romine, when we know better, we do better. And this is one of those agreements that we know that we are unable to now and in the future acclimate to giving up property tax, knowing what's coming in the future. So one of the caveats when we were looking at this deal, the reason that we would even entertain it is because we do not have rehab in Broomfield. I know the paper posted this more like it was a hospital. That is not the case. So that was interesting and enticing. But moreover, when we're looking at the investment agreement for the 1-to-6 ratio, that was one thing, but not taking property tax, and that was the rub. So when they came, it was really the long-term, not just 1 year, which is the difference between an incentive, please come here, we're going to entice you to come here, versus an investment of when you get here, what does this look like? Thus the property tax. So we took property tax off the table and tried to close that gap by using the use tax, short-term and long-term. But the caveat of the innovativeness of this deal was because it was property tax, the Metro District that adds to the level of property tax and the amount of property tax. We said, we're in if they're in. We hadn't had that type of approach before. I don't want to steal any thunder from Mr. Schreier, so he's going to walk through the caveats of it, but it's a very good example to be able to say, where are we right now? What is the difference between incentives and those overall investments? And how can we make it work outside of those general parameters? And how willing is the business to have these individual conversations if we can get to the end goal, but it looks different for them on the front end? Mr. Schreier.
Thank you, City Manager Hoffman. So hello, everyone, and Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and new council members. I am Jeff Schreier, the Economic Development Manager in the Economic Vitality Department. and we're going to be reviewing just some highlights of this development and business investment agreement. Next slide, please. So one of the other kind of unique things about this one is that this agreement covers both the development of the site and the operations. And with that comes the unique trait that this project is that the agreement has been designed to share some of those reimbursements, not just between the developer, which we sometimes do, or just with the business, which we sometimes do, but that $300,000 cap is split between both. So the agreement's been structured to split those reimbursements between both parties. So again, GLC Health Ventures seeks to build this 53,000 square foot facility for Ernest Health. As we said, it's a network of rehabilitation and long-term acute care facilities. Between the building construction and the equipment installation, we're looking at an investment between the two entities of $30 million into Broomfield. The net positive fiscal benefit over the next 7 years, which is the term of the agreement, is expected to be roughly $1.9 million. The proposed agreement, again, will provide a maximum reimbursement of $300,000 over that 7 years to support the construction and operation of the health facility. The terms of the business support agreement are: 1, a partial reimbursement of 60% of the company's payments made for the general fund portion, only the general fund portion of Broomfield's use tax for building supplies and so on. And then a partial rebate, that should say 60% in both of those, of the business personal property taxes remitted by the company or its occupant, again, Ernest Health, to the city and county of Broomfield for that portion. So this proposed business and activity would result in a 6.3 to 1 investment return for the city and county of Broomfield, or 15.8% of the generated revenue over the 7-year period. All I have, so any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Schreier. We're going to go to the public comment first, then we'll get to questions. Does any member of the public have any comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council questions. Members should limit themselves to questions during this portion, and the time to introduce amendments and state positions for or against this item is later. Are there any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Lim.
As you stated, it is different than we've seen before with the agreement with both the developer and the business, which is to occupy the development. So there was a statement, I looked to see that GLC can't assign this right in this agreement to any other entity without prior written consent of the city. I guess that's meant to guarantee that whatever business, if the facility, Ernest Health Systems facility falls through, that we have some say in what business goes in there. And I guess I'm curious, if it were to go in that direction, I mean, how restrictive would we possibly end up being? I mean, we're anticipating in the long range financial plan a certain revenue of the Ernst Health Systems. And as City Manager Hoffman said, we don't have a rehab facility. We need a rehab facility. So what are we going to get if we don't get that?
So that clause in there, the assignability clause, is pretty standard for what we put in these agreements. And yes, it just keeps us at the table so that there is, a discussion and understanding of what's going to be happening, so that we can protect the city's interest in those discussions of what would then, if GLC constructs this building, Ernest walks away for whatever reason, if that were to happen, we would stay in that discussion of what comes next, what would go in that space. Again, it would be a constructed space for, a rehab facility. So that would probably be the primary tenant that you would be looking for. And GLC would probably be, at that point, very interested in working with us and finding a new tenant. And we'd all be working together, they would get a broker, I would assume, and we'd start that search.
And Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, and Mr. Schreier, I'm just going to take the liberty and add just a little bit. Given that and that's another one of the reasons that having forethought and thinking about the future, when we tie something to property tax, it's universal. But when we tie something to business, the business use tax, the business that comes in has to be generating that amount in order to benefit from it, as do we. So by the mere fact of the compilation of that development agreement, they're going to have the business that generates the business use tax in order to even benefit from that component.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I get that now. Okay, thanks. And do I understand there's no deadline to begin construction on this facility? Is there? Did I miss that?
I do not believe we had a deadline to begin construction in this agreement, but the term is for 7 years and I believe they're coming for approvals. They're not yet done with their approvals through this body, so they'll be coming for that in the
Okay.
future.
So we have indications that we anticipate that they want to move forward with this quickly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Stroh, I really appreciate the presentation. For me personally, this seems like a slam dunk kind of situation where, you know, the investment, the $30 million, I mean, that's absolutely appealing. And especially in this economy, and we want to make sure that Broomfield continues to be a welcoming place for growth. And this is like, I guess my question is, where will this location be?
So this is located at 9150 Metro Airport Avenue. So that's just west of 287 it would be if you know where G1 climbing is, it would be the property just to the north of that.
Yeah. Okay. And then, Mayor Pro Tem Lim mentioned this about the timeline. So, have the developers, or I mean, obviously, this is the agreement for the investment here we're talking about today. But let's say we say yes. What steps would be next for this plan?
It's still going through the approval process. I don't know the exact dates of when the next piece is, if there's other staff that could help with that.
Yes, Councilmember Wynn, you'll see the concept review. And part of that conversation is the fact that it is close to the airport. What does that mean from a
Yeah.
patient rehab overnight?
Uh.
So I don't believe, I'm looking at Anna, and or Mr. Romine, Ms. Burton-Zetti. If we have scheduled that, if it's on the calendar, here comes Ms. Burton-Zetti. Be prepared to run down there.
I believe this already did go through concept review.
Oh, I apologize.
I think it had an online concept review and should have sent a notice. We'll verify that and I'll follow up with council and just make sure that had, I believe that was already done a few months ago. So I believe it's in review. It is a site that's under 7 acres. And so as such, it would typically go to the Land Use Review Commission and would have a call up to the city council. And so you'd receive a notice of that. And again, I will verify with our planning division where it is in the review process, and I'll follow up with council with an email.
Thank you. I appreciate it, staff. That's my only question, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Cohen.
More of a comment than a question, just by way of transparency, I work for UC Health, which owns UC Health Broomfield Hospital across the street. And it does have an acute long-term rehab floor. So it's not 53,000 feet or square feet. So not that affects me in any way, because UC Health is nonprofit and Ernest is for-profit. So UC Health has no interest in a property tax abatement. But so I just want to say that I think, to the city manager's point, we do need having close by long-term acute care. Rehab is really important. My dad was in a rehab facility last summer, and it was 100 miles away to find the best care. And that really wears on you when you have to go that far to find a decent care. So having this kind of facility in Broomfield, I think, is very worthwhile. And I think the plan is great if that's what it takes to bring it here. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize. My daughter was texting me. She thought her father wasn't home, but he was, and they were searching for each other in the house. I apologize. So I hope I'm not repeating what Councilmember Lim was asking, but I was just curious if there are any clawbacks or like termination clauses within the agreement.
There are termination clauses, but as City Manager Hoffman pointed out, these are all structured as reimbursements. So if the investment doesn't happen, if they don't bring in that business personal property that then gets taxed, there's no reimbursement that can happen because they've made no payment to the city. They have to make a payment to the city first before, we look at that and accept their paperwork to then give them a reimbursement.
Gotcha. And then if it changes ownership, what does that look like?
Again, if it were to change ownership, GLC would have to assign the agreement, and they would have to let us know as part of the agreement so that we could look at it and then give permission or not permission to assign the agreement since we're party to it.
Okay. And then any liabilities, if it stalls or the market shifts or anything like that, are there any liabilities for Broomfield?
Again, not for us since it's structured as reimbursements.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from council? Next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2282. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7D ordinance number 2282, approving a business investment agreement with GLC Health Ventures LLC.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on first reading and order published in full? Somebody has to say so moved. Oh, good. Thank you. Councilmember Ward.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, Councilmember Delgadillo.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2282. Council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember McKenzie, we're waiting on your vote. Press your button again. There you go. All council members have entered their vote, and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously, 10-0. Thank you very much. Great investment. The final item under council business this evening is council self-appointments to various organizations and committees. Mayor Pro Tem Lim is going to be running this part of the show. So Mayor Pro Tem, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Every 2 years following a municipal election, the council appoints fellow elected officials to serve as representatives to various internal and external committees, boards, and organizations. Council has a copy of the staff report and a spreadsheet of appointments to be made, including background information for each organization or committee. For this evening, the procedures regarding the election process to fill the positions on boards and commissions are set forth in Section 6.1 of Council's Procedures and Rules of Order. In accordance with these procedures, the process tonight will be as follows. Nominees will be identified for each position. If the number of nominees does not exceed the number of vacancies, council will proceed directly with a motion to appoint. If the number of nominees exceeds the number of vacancies, council will proceed to vote. Following completion of the voting, a motion to appoint candidates by name will be necessary. Before we proceed further with the nomination and voting process, comments from the public are next. If any residents are using the call-in service, they should indicate their desire to speak by pressing *9 to raise their hand. We will start with in-person comments. If there is anyone who would like to be heard, please come to the podium and state your name and neighborhood for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Doesn't look like we have any in-person comments. Next is public comment from individuals joining via phone. Looks like we don't have any of those. That's good. Okay, thank you. We'll go forward then. To tackle this agenda item this evening, we will break the item into 2 parts for council's consideration. First will be a slate nomination for council's consideration for positions on various boards and commissions. Pending council's approval of the slate, council will then need to make a motion to approve the appointments. For the various boards and commissions where a staff proxy is appropriate, that can be done as a motion during council's consideration of the board. Questions from city council members are next. Are there any questions? No, no questions? Okay. We will now begin with a slate nomination for council's consideration for positions on various boards and commissions. I will read the lengthy slate, and if council is in agreement, a subsequent motion to approve will be needed. The slate is as follows. Advisory Committee on Environmental Sustainability. Mayor Pro Tem Lim, member. Councilmember Brown, alternate. Boulder County Consortium of Cities. Councilmember Delgadillo, member. Broomfield Building Corporation Board of Directors. Mayor Castriota, member. Councilmember Cohen, member. Mayor Pro Tem Lim, alternate. Broomfield Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Councilmember Nguyen, member. Councilmember McKenzie, alternate. Broomfield County Transportation Forum. Councilmember Ward, chair. Councilmember Nguyen, vice chair. Councilmember Anderson, member. Councilmember Hinkle, member. Broomfield Early Childhood Council. Councilmember Cohen, member. Councilmember McKenzie, member. Broomfield Westminster Open Space Foundation Board. Mayor Castriota, member. Councilmember Brown, member. Colorado Communities for Climate Action. Mayor Pro Tem Lim, member. Councilmember McKenzie, alternate. Colorado Counties, Inc. Staff proxy, Danae Brouillard. Colorado Municipal League Policy Committee. Councilmember Hinkle, member. Councilmember Delgadillo, alternate. Communities That Care. Councilmember McKenzie. Community Services Block Grant Tripartite Advisory Board. Councilmember Twist. Commuting Solutions. Councilmember Twist. Counties and Communities Acting Together. Mayor Pro Tem Lim, lead and fiscal reform. Councilmember Hinkle, involved housing. Councilmember Brown, involved natural resources. Councilmember Ward, involved transportation. Councilmember Anderson, involved governance. Councilmember Twist, involved HHS. Staff proxy, Danae Brouillard. Denver Regional Council of Governments. Councilmember Ward, member. Councilmember Nguyen, alternate. E470 Public Highway Authority Board of Directors. Councilmember Delgadillo. Flatirons Improvement District. Councilmember Ward, member. Metro Erie County Commissioners. Councilmember Nguyen, chair. Councilmember Brown, alternate. Metro Mayor's Caucus, Mayor Castriota. Mile High Flood District, Mayor Castriota. North American Transportation Alliance, Councilmember Cohen, member. Northwest Mayors and Commissioners Coalition, Mayor Castriota, Councilmember Twist, alternate. Northwest Parkway Public Highway Authority Board of Directors, Councilmember Ward, member. Councilmember Cohen, alternate. One Book, One Broomfield, Mayor Castriota. State Highway 7 Coalition, Councilmember Anderson, member. Councilmember Cohen, alternate. US 287 Bus Rapid Transit Coalition, Councilmember Delgadillo, member. Councilmember Brown, member. Workforce Rural Colorado Rural Alliance, Councilmember Twist, member. Workforce Center Broomfield Workforce Investment Board, Councilmember Twist, member. That concludes the presentation of the slate. Are there any objections? Do any,
I want to do a round of applause because that was amazing.
that was there? Yes. There was a lot of background work. I'd like to thank everyone who cooperated in those assignments. Yes. Okay. Seeing no objections, is there a motion to approve the slate as presented?
You got one over there.
Councilmember Hinkle.
Thank you. And thank you again for all of your work on this. You put a lot of work into this and chasing cats. So thank you. So moved.
To move it, can you say, I move that we approve the slate as presented?
Yes, I move that we approve the slate as presented.
Thank you.
Is there a second? There has been a motion and a second.
Who's second?
Councilmember Nguyen.
I second the motion to accept the slate as proposed.
Thank you. Is
Yeah.
Is there a discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we will move forward to the vote. Council, please cast your vote electronically.
All council members, there you go.
All council members have entered their vote. The results will now be displayed on the screen. That passes 10-0. Thank you. That completes our appointments for this evening. Broomfield staff will notify the boards and commission liaisons later this week, and they will follow up with additional information about upcoming meetings. Also, since we will be moving into the legislative session, a quick reminder that unless council has taken a formal position on a bill, a council representative to an organization cannot vote in that organization to support or oppose the bill in an official capacity. However, this council rule does not preclude council members from sharing their individual positions or perspectives. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem Lim. I think that was the shortest time it ever took us to do board and commission self-appointment. So thank you for all of the diligence and all of you guys for getting this done before we break for the new year. So we'll be all in place when the session starts. So, and thank you to Danae and Kelly too for all your work as well. This is wonderful. I appreciate y'all. Well, there are no more, no mayor or council member requests for future action this evening. Is there any other business to come before the council from my colleagues or staff? There being no further business, the business meeting is adjourned. I want to wish you all a very happy holiday season. Thank you.